Welcome back to Inside Games, the only gaming news show brave enough to wonder why Assassin's Creed Shadows suddenly has folks loudly complaining about historical accuracy.
I don't know. Assassin's Creed may have started there, but let's remind ourselves, this is a franchise where George Washington rose to power with ancient alien technology, and you actually fight the massive Wolf Fenrir in the game. So it feels a little late to grump and complain about historical actual accuracy.
Perplexing indeed.
Don't forget about Atlantis, the real place, Atlantis.
Perhaps you eagle-eyed viewer might identify what about Assassin's Creed Shadows provokes such reactions.
Ooh, it's a mystery. It's a watch-along, folks. We're interactive videos here. So let's start digging into the details, and for that, we need the one Inside Games reporter that's certified to operate a shovel. Charlotte, please give us the Assassin's Creed tales.
Okay. Note to self, Assassin's Creatine. So that would be huge.
Nice. Good joke. That was a good joke.
We've got a new Assassin's Creed coming out this year, and it's got a long-awaited setting, feudal Japan. In an announcement, Ubisoft said the game will be set in 16th century Japan, and it's scheduled to be released November 15th.
Gosh, I'm so excited for this. Like we said, Japan is a setting that players have been asking for a very, very long time. But would the reveal live up to years of pent-up demand? Let's hear from the source.
Yeah, also this is feudal Japan, so this is the most we'll see the Dutch in an Assassin's Creed game. So that's big. Let's not forget that. In a statement, Ubisoft said players will step into the roles of a Japanese shinobi, Nae, and in a series first, a real-life historical samurai, Yasuke.
Maybe we have our first clue. We'll get to Yasuke in a second, because, yeah, there's some controversy behind that character as a selection.
Back to the big picture, Ubisoft said the game will be set in the late 16th century, also known as the Sengoku period or the Azuchi Momoyama era. Ubisoft said it picked that time period because it was full of foundational, pivotal events.
One of my favorites.
During that era, 3 of Japan's most important and well-known figures successfully take power during an extensive warring states period.
Ubisoft wrote that social reforms reshaped and reorganized the land, farmers and religious leagues rose up to oppose powerful military clan warlords, and an artistic renaissance began that would later bloom during the Edo period. Meanwhile, there was also the threat of the Portuguese, who had reached Japan a few decades prior. Ubisoft said they put a ton of work into making the game match the time period. They said they used source documentation and built a network of expert historians, professors, and cultural consultants to help the team build a world as authentically as possible.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, it's the claims of authenticity that have ruffled a few people's feathers. We'll discuss that ruffling after a quick word from today's sponsor, HelloFresh. Today's episode of Inside Games is sponsored by HelloFresh, the meal kit delivery service that truly does it all and a little bit more. Join America's #1 meal kit today and say hello to your most delicious year yet with fresh ingredients and chef-crafted recipes at a price you'll like, delivered right to your door. HelloFresh offers over 30 calorie smart or protein smart recipes every week. So no matter what your fitness goals are, HelloFresh offers options to help you get there. Personally, trying to lean out a bit. I've been trying to do that for like 10 years now, but I'm finally making some progress, and that's because I'm clinically tracking all my calories. Every week I scroll through HelloFresh's recipes and pick out the calorie smart ones. They tend to land around 500 to 600 calories. That's pretty easy to fit in my diet, trying to keep it around 1,800 a day. And let me tell you, it is a hell of a lot easier doing that than ordering from a restaurant, that's for sure. But hey, life isn't all about clinical control. Sometimes it's about balance, and sometimes balance means getting free dessert for life. Imagine enjoying a totally free dessert item with every single HelloFresh delivery. Now that's living deliciously. So thank you, HelloFresh, for sponsoring today's video. Please go to the link in the description and use our code INSIDEMAY10 to receive 10 free meals and free dessert for life while your subscription is active. Thanks again, HelloFresh.
All right, thank you again, HelloFresh. Now getting back to the feudal Japan setting of Assassin's Creed Shadows and the ruffling of feathers because of Yasuke. The devs also visited Japan and connected with Ubisoft's Tokyo and Osaka teams who assisted in Shadows' creation.
And this is one of those sign of the times moments. Ubisoft said the game is being developed by their Quebec studio and that it has a whopping 15 support studios contributing from all over the world. Just for some context, Skull and Bones, their recent quadruple A release, had 11 studios working on its development.
Wait a minute, Lawrence, that math would mean it would be a 5A, right? 5A.
Quintuple A.
Quintuple A for Assassin's Creed Shadow, right?
Yeah, we're punching up there.
We have run the math for you before you ask. That means Assassin's Creed Shadows will have 36.3% more of video game. That's very exciting.
Nice job, Ubisoft. So how big will the game be?
IGN reported that Shadows is about the same size as 2017's Assassin's Creed Origins. Creative director Jonathan Dumont told IGN that Shadows is in line with the latest Assassin's Creeds that we've done in terms of scale.
Ubisoft will also add a dynamic light system and a season cycle that sees the open world shift from spring to summer to fall and to winter.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it does.
As for the main characters, like we said, there are two. Ubisoft described Naoe as a 17-year-old from Iga province and the daughter of one of the era's most iconic shinobi, Fujibayashi Nagato, who, despite a promise to keep her safe, is forced to train her to be his equal in battle.
All right, as for Yasuke, Ubisoft elaborated on their decision to make him a main character, writing that his story was open-ended enough to allow for creativity.
They added, though, that the fascinating facts are indisputable. He was of African origin. He arrived in Japan enslaved by the Portuguese. He impressed with size, strength, and wits. He served under the Japanese daimyo Oda Nobunaga. They also included him to allow players to discover Japan alongside him. Ubisoft wrote that, on one hand, he serves as a warning for the colonizing threat that the Portuguese present, and on the other, he adapted and thrived in Japan and can be viewed as an example of the meritocratic structure established under Nobunaga.
But the internet had some issues with Yasuke's inclusion as a main character. Many people claim to be sticking up for that old favorite, historical accuracy, and, let their displeasure be known.
Ubisoft's tweet unveiling the trailer was filled with replies from folks who claimed that Yasuke was never an actual samurai, and others who didn't like that one of the main characters wasn't Japanese.
We should know Yasuke as a character has been portrayed a lot over the years, in anime such as Afro Samurai and the more recent Yasuke on Netflix. But putting him in a game set in Japan seemed to highly annoy some players.
One Japanese Twitter user, in a reply to Famitsu's announcement, wrote, "I don't think there are any Japanese people supervising the architecture. It's Chinese and filled with lanterns, torii gates, and paper lanterns, so it doesn't feel like this. I think the Shogun stands out after the good examples in the drama."
That was via Google Translate, by the way, so it's a little chunky.
Another user who said they are also Japanese questioned Yasuke's credentials, writing, "I'm quite pissed about it. I'm quite pissed about it. Not only are they revising history to make Yasuke a much bigger figure than he actually was, he was also never a samurai? And take this for what you will, but that last individual's timeline is packed with AI-generated images of buxom women with alabaster complexion."
Some good scrolling, I'll say that much.
I can't wait to see people have to be historically accurate to this time period.
Squabbles over Yasuke's historical accuracy waged on Wikipedia, with one exchange thus enshrined in the page's edit history. Okay, Lawrence meant me to read this, which means it's gonna be great. Here we go. Quote, "Reverting the page back to how it was before the cultural imperialists on this website decided to impose Ubisoft's racist blackwashing of Japanese history in the upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows. As a matter of fact, when the real Yasuke was at best a retainer, not a full-fledged samurai, and the fact it's even open for debate shows just how much the global elite have us all by the gonads with their ESG, DEI bridge, corporate cultural war, grift, facts don't care about your feelings, editors."
All right. One of the editors later replied, Charlotte, you can be the voice of reason here.
"I changed the description of Yasuke's title from retainer and servant to samurai. This is backed by Britannica, Smithsonian, and Professor Thomas Lockley, who wrote the book based on his biography, African Samurai. Professor Thomas Lockley is a professor in Tokyo, Japan, who studies Japanese culture and history and has confirmed through multiple instances throughout his life that he was most likely a samurai and not just a servant or retainer. There are multiple articles backing this claim."
There you go. Fair and balanced, right? You got your both sides. And you, viewer, can pick which one makes the most sense to you.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Meanwhile, there was a separate and arguably more substantial controversy over whether the game would be online only. That's been kind of a hot topic lately, based on some people's reading of the game's PlayStation Network page.
Ubisoft actually later clarified, saying that the game will not require a mandatory connection at all times. So you'll need an internet connection to install it, but after that, I guess you can play it offline. We'll see.
All right. So there you have it. That's the buzz on the street about Assassin's Creed Shadows. I don't know, viewer. Did you solve the mystery? Sheesh. I don't know. Did you guys watch the trailer? I just watched it this morning.
It's awesome.
And I thought it was pretty badass. But what did you guys think?
Yeah, I think it looks cool. I mean, I like those games. I like that the talking point isn't, it's 8 times bigger than Valhalla, because Valhalla was so bloated despite being a lot of fun. I didn't finish the campaign despite putting in 90 hours to it. I'm looking forward to it. The whole reactionary racist gamer type deal has become so expected that it's almost a meme. Like, one of the top comments on the version of the trailer I watched is, "The bravest thing is leaving comments open on this video," which, like, yeah, props. I mean, like, they could have very easily just turned comments off, which would have just been like, you know, it's kind of a squishy, like, all right, you can handle a couple comments. So, like, at a certain point, it's like, if it's being memed on, like, at what point is the culture gonna, like, turn in on itself and be like, it's passé to, you know, to be, like, so ignorant? It's like, it's a video game. It's fine. Also, it looks sick, and, like, I don't know. There's just, like, I'm not the person to speak on this, but there's such a strong intersection of, like, Black and Japanese culture that, like, I feel like this is such a cool way to represent that and have that be an option to play that. So, like, I'm excited, you know, for people to have that to be represented in that way. So, like, I don't know, it looks sick. It looks fucking sick. Play a different game if you want. There is no shortage of samurai games that are incredible. You know, play fucking FromSoft's one. What's it called? The Wolf.
Sekiro.
Play Sekiro. Play Ghost of Tsushima. Run wild, man. You know.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like, I think it's just good writing, independent of political BS. You know, you got two characters. You know, a big little pairing is always good. Yeah, who doesn't like rooting for an outsider and an underdog? Even better when they team up because they're both so downtrodden. So, and I think they're even implying, like, gameplay elements. Yasuke's huge and a brawler. That's kind of conveyed in the trailer. Naoe is a stealthy assassin, so you can kind of represent the two gameplay types, which kind of feels like Syndicate. They were kind of going for that with that game. So maybe if they come back to it and make it a, you know, Syndicate was all right, but if they can hit that harder, that'd be cool. The thing that I do think is interesting, and this is kind of diving into the political turmoil of it, is this is pretty typical Ubisoft. They're close to a particular issue, but not really commenting on it at all. They did that a lot with Far Cry, with Watch Dogs. They would bounce off these topics and just kind of, like, let people percolate on it. I don't think the trailer was necessarily trying to say much, aside from setting up what I think will be a cool narrative with cool characters that I'm excited to see stab a lot of people. There was the one scene, though, with, like, the young Japanese child that looked up at Yasuke with wonder, that kind of acknowledged his status as being an outsider or an other. But, like, was it because he was black, or was it because he was a samurai and this village is not used to seeing a samurai? So it could play either way. And I was like, okay, you're clever. You're close to it, but you're not acknowledging it. Okay. Which is about the best I could expect out of Ubisoft. So it's fine. I think it hits a lot of notes. The music was fucking awesome. Ubisoft trailers used to go hard on the music, and I was glad to hear that. They have, like, some J-rock at the end there. Felt a little Tarantino even, so they're hitting a lot of wild stylistic notes, and I like them all.
The, like, Kurosawa styling of the trailer was fun. Like, it was stylized. It was stylized in a way that felt different than the, like, I don't know. I feel like the early 2010s Assassin's Creeds were very much like hipster arm sleeves, barista, craft cocktail mustache suspenders type cool. Where it was like, how epic is this? I don't know. Maybe that's not backed up. Smithsonian backs that up, I think.
I'm weird when it comes to these things because historical accuracy in a video game has literally never cared to me. And I think it's really cool when video games try and pull from the culture and try pull things specifically that were real and put them into video games, but also it's Assassin's Creed. So there's a lot of fictional elements in this game. So I know that they can kind of play with the story, and there's obviously lots of fiction mixed in with nonfiction. That kind of doesn't bother me. I don't really care either way. So I'm not playing Assassin's Creed for historical accuracy. I don't know who is someone doing that? No way, right? No way. And also, if you really are playing this for historical accuracy and you're bummed about this, just don't play. It's really, just don't play it. It's really simple. Just be like, you know what? They didn't stick to the feudal Japan. Go watch Shogun. I mean, honestly, Shogun, from what I've read, because I watched the show, obviously, but from what I've read, is pretty historically accurate. I'm sure they took some liberties, like they always do, but generally speaking, it is. So watch Shogun. Don't worry about Assassin's Creed Shadows if it gets you all upset. Or maybe just get off the internet, touch some grass a little bit, huh?
I feel like there's this weird expectancy that video games as an immersive art form have an obligation to, like, to put you in, like, if it chooses a setting, it's like, well, then you must place me in that setting. Like, I want to time travel. Like, I want to get in the machine, the Wayback Machine with Mr. fucking Peabody. And it's like, no, they're crafting a story. They are crafting an experience. It is not. It's the whole thing with like, well, we want objective journalism. We want objective historicalism. It's like, no, it is a subjective piece of art. If they can stick the landing with the characters and stuff, I am happy. It does not owe you a museum wing or exhibit.
Absolutely true.
This may be a little too hot, but I think even one layer beneath that, because people don't have a problem with power fantasies, but for some reason certain power fantasies are harder to believe for some people than others. So it's like, guys can see a dude have a power fantasy, a meek man who rises through the ranks through his own strength and pride, and that's fine. But if other people are granted that fantasy, suddenly it falls outside the realm of accuracy. And I think that reaction isn't necessarily always questioned. So if you have that question, or you're wondering, like, if something seems a little too silly to be believable, I don't know. Most video games are that absurd. It's just maybe we're used to certain imagery and not others. So
Absolutely. Charlotte, I hear you have started a new YouTube channel with friends of ours. Is that true?
From the ashes of Funhouse rises the Astro Goblin. Me, Jacob, and Patrick are doing the format that you are familiar with, and some people may say started. But yeah, we're playing video games. We're riffing. We've started it. We've got one video up. We're planning on doing just weekly uploads for now. We're literally doing everything. We're doing all the editing and packaging and promotion and stuff. So keeping it small, but we are just super stoked to get back to it. And we just like having excuses to hang out. And yeah, we're gonna be playing games. We've got all kinds of plans. We're gonna be launching Patreon of some sort in the coming weeks. So stay tuned to that. Everyone loves the little guy who's the logo. I got to have fun on my iPad for a day, drawing and tracing. So yeah, sub to Astro Goblin. We've got one gameplay video out where you play as Tom Hansen, the Coast Guard's leading veteran, on board a derelict Russian vessel in the Arctic Sea. Yeah, so
I think we're all familiar with the exploits of Tom Hansen.
I will say that by episode 3, Patrick does get sick of it, and we stop playing. So,
Obviously.
but yeah, I know we played Dark Void. We started Hitman Blood Money. We've got some stuff cooking.
Wait, Dark Void? That's a deep one.
It's really bad.
It doesn't really work. We had to like turn off all the sound effects, and then when we got to chapter 3, it broke. It has vertical cover shooting where you're like on the platform and you're aiming down. It's so, because you can spin around. It is one of the most like dizzying this is perspective shifts in a game. It's so funny. Yeah, we're having a really fun time.
Yeah, congratulations. We're very, very excited to watch it, and I'm already subbed. We'll all intermingle and get all disgusting, mix all fluids and stuff.
You could say with this channel, talking about it here on Inside Games, I've brought you this thing.
All right, we gotta do it.
Speaking of Patreon funded dreams, we have a few to shout out at the end of our program here. My patrons are all on Team Yasuke. It's a strong, firm team. Alex Stone, John Warren Gallardi, Blunt Smoking Anus Destroyer, the legend himself, and Talia Monochrome.
And then these patrons are solidly Team Naue, Dougal Tutbo, Lenny Neves, Brown Sugar, and Aaron Fraze. I didn't get to say the Blunt Smoking Anus Destroyer, and now I'm upset.
Well, then I got to say it.
Oh, good.